Welcome to Leawood 360, City Voices, Community Stories, Full Circle Leawood. I'm Beth Brittenstein, Leawood Strategic Communications Director and your host. Each month, we take you behind the scenes of the people, programs, and policies shaping life in Leawood, Kansas. From local leaders to passionate residents, we're talking with the voices who make this community thrive and bringing it all full circle. Hi, I'm Beth Brittenstein, and welcome to Leawood 360. Today, we're talking about one of the most asked about topics every winter in Leawood. That's snow. When the flakes start flying, our public works team jumps into action, clearing hundreds of miles of roadway to keep everyone safe and moving. I sat down with Public Works Superintendent Paul Dunn to talk about what really happens behind the scenes and how his crews prepare, how they decide which roads to tackle first, and what goes into calling those 12-hour shifts. Then I caught up separately with Ryan Hayes, one of Leawood's longtime public works specialists who's out there behind the wheel when the rest of us are tucked in at home. Ryan shares what it's like to plow through the night and why he actually loves a good snowstorm. So whether you're a snow lover, snow hater, I get it, or just someone who wants to understand what goes into clearing Leawood streets, this episode will give you a fresh look at how it all comes together when winter hits, and it is on the way, folks. Let's dive in and meet the people who quite literally plow the way for the rest of us. So we're here with Paul Dunn, Public Works Superintendent of 25 years. So Paul, you've been through plenty of Leawood winters. What's the feeling in the Public Works facility when you hear that the first flakes are going to be in the forecast? Is it excitement, panic? What do you feel at that point?
It's pretty much a little bit of everything, depending on who you are. If you are a new beginning snowplow driver, you're anxious, you're scared, you're a little timid. But at the same time, if you're an experienced one, depending on what it is, it could be like we're going to be in for a long winter if this has already started.
Probably you lean on a lot of those veterans who we'll hear from next who have been through this before. So give us a quick snapshot. How many lane miles and cul-de-sacs and bridges are Leawood crews responsible for?
So we are very long and skinny. We are over 450 miles. We have over almost 450 cul-de-sacs. So we've got from roughly 83rd Street all the way past 151st Street.
So I do understand that the prep for this time of year started a long time ago. Can you talk a little bit about what that prep is like?
So pretty much once winter is over, we start preparing for the next winter. It is usually in March, April, May, we'll start ordering salt. We start getting delivery of salt in July or August. In September, we start putting the trucks together and having the mechanics going over all the trucks to make sure everything is operational.
One thing I think that is pretty fun that many people don't know about that our neighboring municipalities also do is we take part in a snow rodeo. Can you tell me a little bit more about when that is and what the purpose of that is?
Yeah, so we participate in a APWA snow rodeo the first week in October. It's a friendly competition between the different municipalities. We do anything from a large snowplow truck, small snowplow truck, wheel loader, skid steers, and backhoes. We compete in all of those, and then we also have some training.
So it's kind of like an obstacle course.
Yes, we try to get as close as we can to different cones, which would be the curb. They have even cul-de-sacs and also even parked cars.
And I know there are some really nice trophies involved because I've seen the ones that our crews have won. I love it. I love that a snow rodeo exists. It's a really good way to bring a little fun into something that maybe isn't always so super fun when you're in the thick of it.
For sure. We've been fortunate enough to win our fair share of trophies, and we're pretty proud of that.
So as we are approaching the cold time of year, can you talk a little bit about when you decide it's time to roll and get the plows going?
Once we see it in the forecast, we subscribe to a weather forecast. We're in constant communication with them and keeping an eye on it, but we will determine at least 12 to 24 hours in advance what our crews are going to be doing.
Can you talk a little bit about how we determine what gets cleared first and some examples of those categories of roads?
Yeah, so arterial streets are the ones like 119th Street, College Boulevard, Row, the ones that are the main thoroughfare that goes through Leawood. The collector streets are the ones that are the main street that goes through a neighborhood that will get you from in and out of the neighborhood. And then the residential streets are all of the other streets, and then we have cul-de-sacs also. Arterial streets are always first. They are the ones with the heavier traffic on it. And then we work all the way down to the cul-de-sacs. And cul-de-sacs, we do treat them last, but we also have another crew that will come in and start hitting all the cul-de-sacs, at least one pass in and one pass out to make sure that they can get out.
So I've heard the term hot spots. Can you define what it means when you say hot spots?
Hot spots are real busy intersections, real steep hills. 119th and Mission Road, going down Mission Road to 119th would be a good example of that.
Right, so prone to slipping. And I know we have GPS and AVL on trucks. What does that let you do internally?
It's to make sure we hit every street. We can look to see if the plow's up, the plow's down, if we're spreading salt, and if we went down the street. So we pretty much have pretty good eyes on exactly what's going on out there.
So how long does it typically take in a storm to clear the whole city once the snow stops? I know that may differ depending on how much snow we got.
We would like to typically say 24 to 48 hours, depending on the storm. If we don't have the push-up corners, it's going to be a lot quicker.
And what do you mean when you say push-up corners?
Pushing up corners would be when you make a turn in an intersection. We usually have a lot of snow that can slide out, and we would have to come back and make sure we push those corners all the way up.
To kind of widen the way a little bit.
Exactly.
What can residents do to make your jobs easier?
Definitely park in the driveway. If we can have the street opened up, it's going to be able to let us go curb to curb.
So park in the driveway or garage if you can. If you can't do either of those, where should you park?
In their neighbor's driveway. No, I'm just kidding. I would say as far as on one side of the street, if you see your neighbors already parked there, don't park right beside them.
So here in Leawood, sidewalks are always important. Can you explain who is responsible for clearing sidewalks in the event of a snowstorm?
Yeah, all the residents are responsible for the sidewalk. Our Parks Department will plow all of the city-owned sidewalks. So they are out there just like everybody else, making sure the sidewalks are open.
So what would you say is one thing about your team that maybe the public doesn't see but should appreciate?
The dedication, how much pride they have when they're done. The dedication, they're 12-hour shifts. We're working 12 on, 12 off, which they're only getting less than 12 hours actually downtime, because by the time you get home, wind down, get something to eat and fall asleep, you're pretty much getting back up and going back at it. So we split our public works, and our Parks Department helps also, but we split them basically in half, and we have 12 hours A shift and a 12-hour B shift, and we're working 24/7 until the streets are clear.
So earlier this year, at the very beginning of the year, we had that huge snow of more than a foot. What challenges come with big events like that?
Definitely making sure everybody gets enough rest, because it is challenging to get home on those type of events. So just making sure everybody gets the appropriate amount of rest.
So being in the Midwest, a lot of storms here lead in with a rain or sleet. How do you prepare for that specific kind of storm?
Yeah, those are really difficult. You can't pre-treat, so you have to sit and wait and make sure that you get it at the right time. You got to get it before it freezes, but at the same time, you can't put it down too much before, because it'll just wash away. So we're watching road temperatures. On some of our trucks, we have temperature gauges that will show us what the street temperatures are and then what the outside temperatures are. So it is very hard. Those are not the fun ones at all.
And can you talk a little bit about what Leawood treats streets with and when?
So we use rock salt, and then we also do magnesium chloride. We have saddle tanks, and so we can pre-wet the salt before it puts down in very cold temperatures to activate the salt.
So that magnesium chloride is an element that puts it to work when the temperatures are too frigid.
Yes, and the salt wouldn't activate. And then we'll also pre-treat with brine. You'll see those white lines that go down the street. That is basically water and salt, and that will help us get a head start on when it starts snowing.
And the brine is used in what kind of temperature or what kind of storm?
We can put that down, as long as we're not going to get any rain beforehand, we can put that down days beforehand.
All right, so here's a scenario for you. Say it's Chiefs playoff Sunday. We could only hope, right? Chiefs playoff Sunday, 3 to 5 inches coming. How does that change your strategy?
We definitely take that in consideration, and we are going to try to get out as early as we can before the Chiefs game to make sure we're hitting those residential streets. We know everybody's going to have Chiefs parties and everything. They're going to have lined their streets with cars and everything. So we're going to do everything we can beforehand, and then we definitely want to do the best we can because we know after the game everybody's going to be leaving.
And we know we tailgate hard.
Yes.
And I do hear you're quite the barbecuer. We'll do that on another podcast, but...
Yes.
Okay. So you're also, I would say, a local producer because you did produce one of our wonderful Instagram reels about stormwater and how not to damage our stormwater systems with Terrence the Duck. So I think everybody should check that out on the city's Instagram channel. And you also starred in our Touch a Truck event promo with Woody, the Leawood mascot. So why do you think this kind of outreach is important?
These guys work hard, and just they're usually behind the scenes, and they make sure we do asphalt, concrete, stormwater. We work on the buildings. We work on all the vehicles. Everything we do is kind of behind the scenes, and as long as everybody is safe traveling and all the vehicles are up and running and everybody's happy, we're happy and we're doing our job.
So I understand we have a few painted plows this year. What can people expect? And talk a little bit about who's painting these plows and how that came to be.
We should have 5 new plows painted this year. We have Rubble, that is a Paw Patrol, and we teamed up with 4 different schools, and they're all painting their plows.
Awesome. So when you see your plow come down your street, look at the blade to see if it's one of our painted plows. And how many plows do we have total, say, in the thick of a storm? How many deployed do we have?
We will have 10 single axles, 3 tandems, and then a multiple of 550s. A smaller truck, a 450, 550 in the cul-de-sacs and everything like that.
If you could name one of our snow plows, what would you call it? And bonus points if it's a Taylor Swift reference.
Well, of course, I'd name it Tay-Tay. Everybody would think it's after Taylor Swift, but it would be after my granddaughter. Her name's Tatum, but I call her Tay-Tay.
Oh my goodness, I love it. So you'll still please the Swifties, but you're pleasing the grandkid, which is more important.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Okay, and finally, I ask all of our guests, what's your favorite place to visit in Leawood and why?
Probably the reaching site. We had a lot to do with helping out with that. We started off with installing something so everybody could see exactly how tall the statue was going to be, and then our asphalt crew paved the parking lot. So
reaching is truly beautiful at Lee Boulevard and Mission Road at the corner there. It's really become an icon for our city. So thanks for all of your work on that. And thank you for being here and talking all things snow. And we appreciate all the work you do, Paul.
Thank you.
A few months ago, I was able to catch up with Ryan Hayes, one of Leawood's longtime public works employees who has plowed many, many a mile of Leawood roads during a snowstorm. Here's that conversation. So Ryan, when do you start preparing for the snow season typically, and how do you prepare?
Usually around the 1st of September. And what we do and how we prepare for that is our maintenance department, our mechanics, they bring a truck in at a time and they go through A to Z, checking the spreader, the plows, the connections, things that make it operational. So when the first storm does hit, we're ready to roll. There's no issues or anything like that.
So well ahead of time. What kind of vehicle do you typically drive in snow events?
I drive a tandem snowplow truck. It's the one that has the 2 plows on it. I take care of the arterial roads, and we have 3 of those now. When I first started, we only had 2. Now we have 3.
And does that make a big difference in how quickly we can get to things?
Oh, absolutely. Big difference.
When you get behind the wheel, what's the first thing on your mind? What's your main focus when you start working a snow event?
When you get here, the first thing is you have to get in the mindset of do a mental checklist of what you're doing and everything. And then for me, I'm starting to map out how I'm going to do my route most efficient way I can possibly do it. And then just stay focused on that and just keep moving on forward. And eventually, when it's actually snowing, it's amazing how fast 12 hours go. It really is.
And so what would you say is the most challenging thing about plowing?
Traffic. Traffic it's a whole different animal. It really is, because basically you're an operator, you're in the seat, and you have to basically keep your head on a 360 swivel, and it can be quite challenging.
I'd imagine. And what are the challenges that come when you add a layer of nighttime to this?
Actually, I prefer the nighttime, and the reason why I do is because my previous statement was about traffic is there's nobody out. And the downside of that, though, is when about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then rush hour starts kicking in. But that means I have about roughly 6 hours from midnight to 6. I have 6 hours of hardly any traffic, and it's a little bit relaxing. Now the challenging thing is you go from your sleep patterns and stuff change, and it can be a little rough sometimes doing that. So there's a trade-off on it.
Speaking of, those longer hours behind the wheel, what kind of things do you do to stay energized?
Just like anything else, it's like when we were kids, you want to be amped up. It's caffeine and everything else, coffee, iced tea, soda pops, energy drinks. I mean, the guys down there, they do a host of different things and everything, so.
Fueling on coffee, that's a common thing around these parts.
Absolutely.
What do you wish the public knew about plowing snow, if you could impart some wisdom?
The one thing they need to know is that when we're actually plowing snow, the drifts that come off the plow. And in today's society, everybody's got places to go, things to do, and they're in a hurry and they try to whip around. And they don't understand the force that comes out from the windrow off of those plows that push their car or whatever and everything. And then if that happens, then we have to fill an accident or an accident report, whatever the case may be. And now, because that happened, now we have to take that truck out of service for a couple hours. And that puts everything behind and all that. So, I mean, as a simple statement would be, just give the operators a lot of room to operate. And I know people are in a hurry. I know you got things to do, kids to pick up, et cetera, et cetera. But an extra 2 or 3 minutes is not going to hurt anything. But just give us a lot of room to operate.
So obviously being 25 years in here, do you have any particular snow or ice events, a specific storm, maybe that was the most challenging or sticks out to you?
I mean, the most challenging one we had was in 2002, and that's when we had the major ice storm here. And we were literally treating ice, and we were literally pushing trees out of the streets with our plows because the damage was so bad. I think that one takes the first place one. That was quite an event. Because I mean, after the ice storm happened, cleanup. I mean, when FEMA came in and everything, I think it took us 3 or 4 months to clean everything up. The other one was I can't remember. I think it was winter of 2012 or 2013, somewhere in that area, where we had 3 storms back to back, and one storm dumped like 13 inches, the other one dumped 8, 9, something like that, and the third one did the same. So, I mean, we were 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, round the clock, and that's a grinder.
What kind of challenges come when, like you said, there's accumulation on accumulation on what kind of things change for you all when that snow really starts to add up?
We haven't been to that point yet where we have to bench the snow on the side of the road. Came close a couple times, but we haven't done that or need to do that quite yet. Then it gets in the long hours, and I mean, it grinds on you.
Yeah, I can imagine. You're already changing your sleep pattern, and then you're compounding it across several events for successive days in a row. Yes. So we've talked a lot about challenges. Is there anything, that you enjoy about plowing? It's okay if the answer's no.
Well, I mean, it does have its, for me, it's kind of cool. You get to see the kids that really enjoy the snow, come down the road, they have their snow forts and stuff, and they'll try to engage in snowball fights and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's some things pretty fun. One winter, snow fell right on Christmas. And, well, as you know, when you're on Christmas Day, there's no places open to eat other than gas stations. And I thought it pretty neat that a lot of the residents brought out food and stuff like that. So that one kind of sticks out too as well. As far as motivation and plowing and enjoying it, some days yes, some days no.
Like anything else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense. Is there anything else that you want to share regarding plowing that I haven't covered here?
If there's any kind of message, as far as the residents are concerned, especially in residentials, pay attention and be proactive. If there's a snow event coming up, it would be greatly appreciated if they could park the cars in the driveway. That would take a lot of pressure off the operators and all that, because, I mean, like I said, if there's something that happens an ice storm, someone slides down a cul-de-sac, slams into a car, then takes that truck out of service.
And I know one of the things that people, maybe there's a misconception with the way that the windrows kind of work as you push snow and how that affects driveways.
We get asked that all the time because, I've been asked by residents, why do you have to put it here? Unfortunately, the nature of the beast is it has to go someplace. And I understand, because when I get done plowing, I got to go home and shovel my driveway and do the same thing. So I tell people on either side of the driveway, start about 10 to 15 feet and come out the road 4 to 5 feet, shovel that whole area. So when the plow does come, all that excess snow has a place to go. Then time it gets to your driveway, it's very minimal. That's the best system we have found that works. I know it's more shoveling and everybody's really thrilled about that, but that's the simplest way to do it. That really is.
Yeah, I think there's, anytime there's a snow event or weather event, there's definitely a need for kind of a community effort. I know when it comes to shoveling sidewalks, for example, being a good neighbor, shoveling your sidewalk, help our plow drivers out and just kind of clear that swath at the end of the driveway. It's got to go somewhere.
Unfortunately, it does.
And you guys got to keep rolling. So.
Yeah, and the worst ones are in cul-de-sacs. That's the worst one because the plow sweeps it as we go through the cul-de-sac. And if it's wet and snowy, it'll roll up in balls like it do a snowman. And it could leave big boulders and stuff like that. And unfortunately, that's just part of it. But if you have that cleared out, it has a place for that other material to go that you removed. And it really does work. It really does.
Do you have any snowmen you've run into in past storms that stick out to you?
Yeah, there's one up north in Route 1 off of 89th back to the north. Every year they have a big snow. They'll build a snowman, and I bet you that's every bit of 10 to 12 feet tall. And I was plowing one night and everything. I had to look over and I'm looking at a snowman eyeball to eyeball inside the truck. So it made me jump a little bit. I was not expecting that.
Similar to that area, I've seen a Mahomes snowman. I don't know if you've seen that one, but that one lasted with this past winter. That one lasted quite a while because it just wouldn't melt.
Well, I think what happened with that is when they built the snowman, it was wet snow. Then the timing was right. Then it dropped down, and the temperatures dropped very, very cold, and I think it froze them, and that's why it lasted a long time. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Any igloos or forts?
Yeah, every year we have out south, there's a couple kids on a cul-de-sac. They got a cardboard box and they built squares. When they were done, it looked like a castle. I was truly impressed. So
the engineers come out in,
yes.
in these times. Well, yeah, I bet you've seen some very interesting things along your years. Well, I know it's typically, unfortunately, a thankless task, but our residents are very appreciative. I hear all the time as I'm in communications from folks, and we try to get all those comments posted up in your maintenance area so that you guys can see as much of that as possible, because it is very appreciated to get from A to B. So I thank you for all that you've done in your years of service, and here's hoping for a gentle winter.
Oh, absolutely. Appreciate it.
And now it's time for your round out. That's 4 pieces of news you can actually use. So we were just talking about pumpkins and costumes, and suddenly it's entering late November. What is happening? There's a lot of things happening in Leawood. Saturday, December 6th at the Lodge at Ironwoods, we have Breakfast with Santa, as we do every year, and that will run from 7:45 to 12:30. You can enjoy a pancake buffet, photos with Santa, and a holiday craft. Kids under 12 months old are free, but must register. You could sign up by November 26th at leawood.org/register. A belated thank you to the nearly 1,500 Leawood veterans as we celebrated Veterans Day earlier this month. The Leawood Foundation is designing a new memorial for the front of City Hall to honor veterans past, present, and future through private donations. You can learn more and donate at leawoodveteransmemorial.org. Plans are progressing for a new community-focused space at the former City Hall and Fire Station site at 96th and Lee Boulevard. The Planning Commission will meet November 25th, and the governing body reviews this plan on December 15th. You can view concepts and send comments by visiting leawood.org/96th and Lee. And finally, our comprehensive plan is underway, Leawood Rooted and Reaching. Recently, we had an open house for the public, and that open house is now available for you virtually if you missed that meeting. All you have to do is head over to leawoodrootedandreaching.com, and you can participate in a virtual open house. We'll have more announcements about open houses coming up as well related to the comprehensive plan update. So get your fingerprints on the future of Leawood. Go to leawoodrootedandreaching.com to find out how you can participate. And that will wrap it up for this episode of Leawood 360. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening, whether that be Spotify or Podbean or Apple Podcasts, all the places you get your podcasts. Subscribe so that you get notifications when we have a new episode up. And as always, we encourage you to follow us on our social media channels. You could also go to leawood.org/notify me to sign up for our e-newsletter, to get agendas sent your way, and just to be very involved in your city. The best way to do it, leawood.org/notify me. Thank you so much, as always, for listening, and we will talk to you soon.